I got a bone to pick tonight, boys and girls. And that bone that I have to pick is with the maker of Grippy Bottom Socks. I think they're baloney. I think they're malarkey, unless, of course, maybe you need them to make sure that you don't fall over because you're an elderly person or have inner ear issues. Exceptions could be made. But I can't imagine a healthy, middle aged, or younger human being walking around the house in grippy socks. And you know what? Send me comments. Send me your rage. Let me dine on your arguments in favor of slipper socks because frankly, get some house shoes. Like the rest of us. If I was wearing socks with grippers on them and I had to run outside and get an extra bag of trash out to the curb, right? I'd just come back in with wet socks. That's like the worst of all available scenarios. No, thank you. I'm a slippers man.
TJ, we went live.
Duly noted.
We are joined tonight with Johnny of JTWoodworks, and we are going to get all into him tonight. First of all, TJ is going to go through our sponsors real quick.
All right. First and foremost, every week we thank Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep. They've been with us for at least 100 of our 152 episodes that we've had, and we're grateful for their support. So grateful, in fact, that I am going to take a few minutes to talk about the 6-inch random orbit sander that is available in 2 different speeds and throws. It is mighty fine. And in addition to being mighty fine, the plumbing for the dust collection on it is top tier. Sanding can be a mess. It can also suck. But frankly, if you hook it up to a Surf Prep dust collector, it sucks the right way into the HEPA filter, which is where we as woodworkers want it to go. So if you want to pick up a 6-inch random orbit sander or one of their lovely HEPA filtered dust collection systems, go to surfprep.com and use the coupon code Sawdust Talk. You can save a little money. And yes, we do get a little kickback if you use our coupon code. Please do that. Please and thank you. Also, want to thank Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs. If you like Tattoo Flash inspired scroll saw art, she's got a really great body of work. But Casey Bombshell Designs is where you can go to get your Sawdust Talk merchandise. And let me tell you, folks, you may be thinking, you know what, the shirt that I've got on right now is fine. I'm going to let you know that you're thinking wrong because it doesn't have a Sawdust Talk logo on it. And if it does, high five for you. I'm proud of you. But it is Sawdust Talk After Dark tonight. And that means that if it is after dark where you are, you should be cuddled up into a lovely, cozy, indulgent, oversized Sawdust Talk t-shirt so that you can wrap yourself in the warmth that Jessie and I bring week after week. The other thing we want to talk about is Makers for St. Jude. We are getting ready to launch our Spring Maker Challenge. There will be prizes galore, and if you participate, you are, can't say guaranteed, but you are very likely to walk away with a prize just for participating. Last year, we had wonderful participation, awesome prizes. If you want to get involved, the way it works is we help you put together a web page where you raffle off maybe an extra piece or a specifically for the St. Jude Children's Charity. You post about it on your socials. We post about it on your socials. You sell a handful of raffle tickets. The proceeds from those raffle ticket sales go directly to St. Jude. You get a tax receipt. If you are donating to somebody else's raffle, you get a tax receipt. We take care of a bunch of the heavy lifting for you, and all you have to do is be awesome. The point being that we as makers want to do great things for other people with our great stuff that we're making. And the Makers for St. Jude Challenge is a great way to get involved with all of that. You can get a hold of Mike over at Woodworker versus Cancer or Makers for St. Jude on Instagram. You can get a hold of Jessie. You can get a hold of me. We are on the socials. We are contactable. Please do so. Get involved. Get awesome. And finally, there is a Patreon for Sawdust Talk for as little as $5 a month. And that is less than a burger at Five Guys for sure. Might be less than a burger at Mickey D's these days. You could help Jessie and I make it to the maker meetups. We use it for infrastructure, gear, and just keeping the show running with the various digital subscriptions and all the software that it takes to run this show. So if you're liking listening to us week after week and you're like, you know what, I think I would pay $5 or more a month please consider doing so at Patreon/Sawdust Talk.
Awesome. Thanks, TJ.
No problem.
All right, we're gonna shift our focus to Johnny. Johnny, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Do you want to
Yeah,
tell the
thank you
listeners
for having
that
me.
maybe don't know who you are? Who are you? What are you?
So my name is Johnny Trombukas. I am a woodworker, mostly focusing on kumiko, which is a type of Japanese woodworking. And that's kind of what I'm focusing my business around, and sharing that craft with other woodworkers, getting them into it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about kumiko. And I know that the word is often followed by the word screen, right? Kumiko screens are a big part of sticking your toes in there. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about kumiko?
Yeah, so kumiko is a type of Japanese woodworking where, very simply put, it's taking small pieces of wood, cutting them very precisely, with very precise angles on them, and assembling them into different geometric patterns. Um, a lot of the times you'll see kumiko on shoji screens, which are paper-backed screens. That are often used as doors or window screens or like room dividers, in like traditional Japanese homes. There's hundreds of different patterns for kumiko, and a lot of them are um, based off of different things found in nature. So different types of foliage, flowers, like the back of a tortoise shell, different things like that.
I love that. I love turtles, so that's awesome. So we asked you in the pre-show. I want you to explain more though, that there are multiple ways to create kumiko. Kumiko?
Kumiko.
Kumiko. And there's hand saws, and what is your way to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, like with any type of woodworking, there's tons of different ways to do the same thing. I like using power tools mostly, just because it makes things a lot quicker. You can make jigs for table saws, which is something that I did. Developed a kumiko table saw sled specifically for cutting the grid work that's used for kumiko, and it's like the foundation of then what you build your patterns off of.
That's awesome.
And so traditionally, I think I don't want to say there's a taboo around using adhesives on kumiko, but I suppose some of the art side of it, the people that I know that do kumiko, I suppose, really like to brag about getting all of this stuff assembled with super tight joints and no adhesives. Because you're doing more commercial and releasing a product with consistency, are you using adhesives in areas where you're going to see movement and stuff like that, or do you just let it ride?
Yeah, so kumiko doesn't really need glue. Just like with any type of tight fitting like woodworking joint, like you don't really need to glue a dovetail because like it holds itself together. But it's always a good idea to add glue, right? It's never going to hurt anything. I always glue my panels, my kumiko panels, especially if it's something that's going to be handled at least semi-frequently. Like if it's like the lid of a box, you're going to be touching that, or anything similar to that. You want to make sure it stays together forever, or for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And without any pieces getting accidentally knocked out.
For sure.
For sure. So you I guess I feel like we should take a giant step backwards here and be like, how did you get here? Like, where did this all start? What inspired you to get into kumiko? I know you have traveled a little too. We'll get into that later. So, but first of all, where did this all come from?
Yeah. So I like grew up making like skate ramps and stuff like that. So I was always like around tools and like knew how to use them. Um, and then I just kind of started doing more woodworking and made things for friends, and then started selling stuff at craft shows. And then it kind of just snowballed and turned into a business. Started off with a lot of cutting boards, which I think is a great place and where a lot of people start. Sold hundreds of those and then didn't want to make them anymore. And I always had an interest in Japanese woodworking. I just thought that it was really cool and like just really like beautiful and visually, and also just like how it's put together without any like nails or the need of it, any adhesives. And then I remember the feeling I had when I first saw kumiko, where I'm like, that's really cool and something that I'll never be able to do. Because you look at it and you don't even know where to start.
Right.
So at the time I was living in New York City, and I took a class that was in Brooklyn that was just like an intro to kumiko, that we just made a small square panel. And then that class for me completely demystified the entire process of how kumiko is made. And then from there, I just kind of was able to pick apart other patterns and figure out how they're made. And then kind of just took off running with that. And then I figured other people might see kumiko the same way. So that led me to develop kumiko starter kits, which they include all the different jigs and materials that you need to make kumiko. The only tool really that you need is a chisel and a handsaw. And you can make kumiko in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, I think what appealed to one of my friends was the fact that it's not especially messy,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not running late for something while you're doing it, right? It's pretty soothing because some of it is repetitive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, watching, I mean, the joints that he made involved diagonals that then had two 45s to go into a corner there.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's on a piece of wood that's a little smaller than a quarter of an inch wide, that's some tiny detail work. But I mean, coming from a guy who used to paint Warhammer miniatures, like I get it, just take your time and do a good job.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that really pleases you about doing it when you do?
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot of it is repetitive, like you said. I've made kumiko panels that have hundreds of pieces in them, which is very time consuming. But once you get into it and you get into a rhythm, it's very meditative. So you just kind of like mentally check out of everything, and you're just in this. And that's something that I really enjoy, that you just kind of like, I'm going to put the world over there for right now, and just, I'm doing this.
Yeah, no, flow state is really good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think secretly a lot of us as woodworkers, are we linked up?
We are.
Okay, good. Secretly a lot of woodworkers are actively pursuing that, being in the zone, being in the pocket if you're a jazz musician, being in the flow state when you're in the workshop, and when everything just keeps going right because you're thinking less about it and just doing a good job over and over. That's the good stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you love math?
I was really good at it in high school.
I just feel like there's so many angles. I mean, you have to be a little bit okay with that. I know plenty of woodworkers that just, when it comes to angles and stuff, they just hate it. They don't want to do it. So I feel like that's something you would have to be okay with, is lots and lots of angles.
Yeah, there aren't really um, there aren't too many angles that you really need for a lot of different patterns. So typically, you're going to be working with two different types of grids, um, either based off of a square or based off of a hexagon. And for the hexagon, it's split into 6 equilateral triangles. So for a square grid, you're really just breaking up the 90-degree angle different ways. So you're really just dividing the 90 by 3. So half of 90 is 45. And then between 45 and 0 is 22.5. And then between 45 and 90 is 67.5. So you really just need 3 angles for a square grid: the 22.5, 45, and 67.5. And then for a hexagonal grid, where you're splitting up triangles, you're working with 60 degrees. So you would be all the angles of a triangle are 60. So you're working with 60, 30, and sometimes 15 and 75.
Jesse's eyes glazed over, and I'm going.
I know there's a lot of numbers, but it's really just 7 different angles that you would need to use. And then with those 7 different angles, you can make hundreds of different patterns.
That's so cool. My mother would be so disappointed. She has her PhD and she's a math teacher, so she'd be like, Jessie, God, I can't believe you said that. I want to talk more about your travels, though, because you've done some traveling.
Yes.
Tell us.
So I was on a Japanese TV show. The name of the show is Who Wants to Go to Japan? Very simple name. But the idea of the show is they find different people around the world that study different Japanese crafts, not specifically woodworking or just making in general, but also cooking and textiles and basket weaving, basically anything like traditional Japanese craft related. So this TV show found me through my YouTube channel, reached out and wanted to know if I'd be interested in being on the show. And the idea of the show is they came and they filmed in my shop for 2 days. And this was kind of on the tail end of the pandemic. So they came, they filmed for 2 days, and then a few months later, kind of when things settled down a little bit more, they flew me out to Japan, and I got to spend 4 days with a kumiko master.
Wow.
And his 3 sons, which are also certified kumiko masters, and learned how to make kumiko the traditional way with traditional hand tools that are very difficult to find. And if you can find them, they are very expensive. And then after that, I spent a day with a chisel maker that showed me his process of going from like raw steel to a completed Japanese chisel.
Okay. And you were compensated to do this as well?
They didn't pay me, but they like flew me out and like paid for everything while I was out there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But do you have a link to the show or your episode that we could share like in the description?
So I have they like gave me a copy of it, but they asked me not to publicly share it because it's copyrighted content.
I see.
So I would love to, but I don't know if I can.
It's all right.
Did
We'll
it-
find it on Crunchyroll. It's buried in there somewhere.
Did it air on TV though?
In Japan, not in the US.
Oh, in Japan. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it a little different.
And the entire episode is in Japanese. They like dubbed over my voice and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
so wild. I mean,
you
super
get-
cool, but super wild.
Did you get to do any touristy stuff while you were out there?
I did, yeah. So I spent, so I flew out there for a week for the show, and then spent a week after that just kind of traveling. My wife now, girlfriend then, flew out for that week after, and I proposed in Japan,
Aw,
in Kyoto in the bamboo forest.
lovely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So that was you guys are married now.
Yeah.
So that was end of 2020, you said?
That was I went in 2023.
Oh, okay. So this is new.
Yeah.
Right on.
Awesome. I think one of the highlights of both times that I've been to Japan is the Kyoto Shinkansen station,
Mhm.
their bullet train station. There's like a 15-story escalator that is an engineering marvel to me. Like, sure, riding on the Shinkansen and doing 214 miles an hour in a train that's whisper quiet. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
15-story escalator that you can ride on, and everybody is standing on it bored, and it's like, you people don't realize what this is. This is the most amazing thing ever. Anyway, I loved Kyoto. It's
funny how you just described an escalator being cooler than the fastest roller coaster you've ever been on.
it's amazing.
Um,
No, using a squatter at 214 miles an hour, checked it off my bucket list, right? Like we're good. But
so funny, this is just completely random, but I was telling TJ before, I'm filling in at the oral surgery office this week because one of the girls was in Japan. So I was, just helping out, and she actually came back today and was talking about all of the things in Japan, and it was, I don't know, it's just super fun to hear the stories, and I want to go so bad, so I think it'd
You
be so
should.
much.
it is 100 times cooler than 12-year-old you thinks it is. That is how awesome visiting Japan is.
It's very true.
Yeah. 4-story tall giant fighting Gundam robot. Totally awesome in person.
She did bring us Kit Kats though too, so
That's good.
it was
That's a good
kind
one.
of sweet of her.
But yeah, if you go down to Osaka, you can go to Universal Studios Japan, and you can do the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Japanese, and it's absolutely hilarious. It is entertaining in every single way possible.
You've talked
And if
about
you
that.
go to Nara, you can feed wild deer in the park.
Mhm.
Just don't do what I did and be the first one in the park bright and early, because the deer know. So there's vendors that like sell these crackers that you can then like feed to the deer. We were the only ones in the park, so we bought these crackers, and there's just all the deer just swarmed us. I got bit on the butt a couple times.
That's kind
They're
of
like, hey, where's my cracker?
oh gosh, what else? Let's talk about like social media stuff. Like what got you into Instagram? I mean, when did you start to find the community of woodworkers here and all that?
Yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that. I kind of just, I don't know. I just kind of fell into it, I guess, and just found people through, just through likes and comments, and just grew community naturally.
Have you been to any maker events?
Yeah, I've been to Workbench Con a couple times. I missed the past few ones though. Went to Maker Camp. I was actually on the Maker Burn team, so I helped build that dinosaur and the jackalope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
But you haven't been the last couple years then?
I have not. No, Maker Camp's really close to me too. It's like 2 hours away. But no, this last one I missed because I was teaching a class that weekend. Which is just like poor planning on my part to schedule a class that day, but whatever.
I just think it's wild because when I came across your page, I was like, why do I not know this person? I was like, this is amazing. Like, you do amazing work.
Thank you.
And now you're saying, oh, I didn't go to WorkbenchCon the last few years. And I'm like, those are the last few years I went. Last couple years you didn't go to Maker Camp. Those are the years I went. I'm like, how have we just like missed each other through all of like
it's funny, yeah.
So
it just worked out perfectly, but that we just
So now you have to come to Maker Camp this year.
It's a moral imperative.
I'll try.
You have to come and do a day trip. Come get a high five from me and Jessie, and then you don't have to stay, but come get a high five. We're awesome. I want to talk a little bit about this kumiko jig that you have developed. Is this thing something that is available for retail sale yet?
Yeah. So I have a few different kumiko specific tools. So the table saw sled helps you cut different types of grids, which, like I mentioned earlier, is kind of the foundation of the kumiko panel. And with that, you can cut different size strips. So I mainly work with 1/8 inch by 1/2 inch material, and usually basswood, just because it's very easy to work with. But with the kumiko table saw sled, you can cut. You can use 1/8 inch, 3/16, and 1/4 inch material. And you can cut both square and hexagonal grids with that. And then there's also kumiko jigs, which are basically blocks with grooves in them and stop blocks. And there's an angle on the end. So those are the angles that you would use to cut the little infill pieces that actually make up the pattern.
And where would our listeners and viewers go to find these things? This is where you plug yourself.
You can go to JTWoodworks.com, and everything's there.
That's awesome. Okay.
All the different starter kits, all different tools and supplies. It's all there.
If you go to Johnny's Instagram too, there is a link in his bio, little drop down, and it will take you to all of the places.
Yep.
This is great.
That's JTWoodworks on Instagram.
So would you like to have a conversation about chisels and steel? Because it's potentially a large part of the number of tools that you hold in your hand in a given week, right?
Yeah. So Japanese tools are a little bit different than Western tools, as far as they're made with two different types of steel that are forge welded together. So there's a harder steel, and that's what actually makes the sharp end of your chisel. And then there's a softer steel forge welded on top of that makes up more of the bulk of the metal part of the chisel that you see. So it makes sharpening a lot quicker because you're mostly sharpening the softer steel and just kind of a little bit of hard steel.
So where do you look when you are shopping for chisels?
So the chisel maker that I spent a day in his shop with. His name is Ouchi-san, and I have a couple of his chisels, and that's why we visited him specifically. So there's a website, I think, called Suzuki Tools. They're based in California, and they sell his chisels. Yeah, just try to get anything high quality, not from Amazon or anything like that.
You telling me my yellow acetate handled Harbor Freight set is
Those are some of the best high quality chisels that you can get
for opening paint cans, right? They're mighty fine pry tools.
Oh my goodness.
No, I believe that the steel that they use is from a rare mine in China. It's this weird alloy called blue cesium. It has a tendency to crumble under pressure real quickly. It's unique.
Okay, so you have been married for a short time. You make awesome Japanese woodwork, and you like to steam it up and bend it, and it's amazing. And then what do you do? What do you do when you're not doing this?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about bending kumiko.
We can. That was was like pretty incredible. I was like, oh my gosh, you're taking the whole thing and just like turning it into. I mean, what was that for? Was that like an archway?
That was that was a lamp.
That was a lamp?
Yeah. So back up a little bit. Every kumiko panel that I've seen has always been a flat panel. So I wanted to know if it was possible to bend it. So basically I made a 7-foot long panel. So 7 feet by I think it was about 1.5 feet tall. And then filled in all the little infill pieces and glued them in, and there's like hundreds of pieces. I think it was almost 400 pieces. And then sanded the panels so that they were flat. Because you do get some inconsistencies every once in a while in height, and like a little bit of tear out and little things that you want to clean up. So sanded both faces and then curve bent it. So on the table saw and a crosscut sled, just kind of made a whole bunch of cuts that were spaced on very specific spots on the grid. So wouldn't interfere with the pattern. And then just kind of laid it flat, put some towels on top of it, soaked the towels with boiling water, let that soak into the wood a little bit, and then just bent it into a full cylinder. So it ended up being 2 feet in diameter, and then just capped it off on the top and the bottom with a couple of plywood rings that had grooves in them, all sandwiched together, put a light, and then just hangs from the ceiling.
I did not realize that you did the curve cuts. Yeah. I thought you basically just steamed the whole thing and just bent it. And I was like,
no, I don't think that would work very well.
Right,
I'm with you. I was thinking.
Yeah, that's still absolutely stunning to do, and you still get to maintain as much of the geometry as you can have when it's warped. Is this man, I'm going to have so many questions. I'm way too technical for the show, but
go for it.
Well, first of all, is this like a thin kerf kind of cut thing, and you're going for lots of them, and you had to do it down the length of a 7-foot panel? You have the patience of a saint, is what I'm figuring out.
Can you pan over to the light? I mean,
it's in a different room. It's
okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if it's right there, can we see it?
There is a full YouTube video that shows the entire process.
Okay.
So
I'll link that in the description on YouTube so people can check
right.
that out. That would be awesome.
God, that's rad. Okay, so what's next for you, and what's next for Kumiko? Like how can you push that any harder?
So I did another project where I 3D carved it. So I made a really like thick, beefy kumiko grid, and then carved like a water ripple pattern into the top of it. And that's another video that I have.
Okay, and were you aided by a robot in this endeavor, or did you just get hectic?
Yes, no, I used the CNC.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of CNC do you have?
Onefinity.
Heck yeah.
See, you're on the
We
team
love
with the
those
cool
guys.
kids. Yeah. They treat us really nice, and we like hanging out with them. Good
Yeah,
folks.
yeah, they're good guys.
For sure. You hold on. You never answered my question.
Oh.
Aside from the woodworking stuff, what do you do for fun?
That's a good question.
Or is this all you do for fun?
No, I mean, I haven't been doing much of it lately just because it's been cold, but mountain biking a lot.
Nice.
It's just, I love being on two wheels.
Upstate New York is beautiful.
Yeah, and there's mountain biking trails like literally 10 minutes from my house.
Well, yeah, I mean, do they do like off-season ski slope mountain biking out there also, or
They do like fat tire, so
sure?
like the really like thick like snow tires.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm about 5 hours away from Bentonville, and I have some cycling friends that have gone down there and send me video footage of there's just trails everywhere.
Yeah.
Like next to the commuter trails on the side of the roads, they've got mountain bike trails with events and technical stuff like every couple hundred feet. So you can mountain bike into work on a semi-technical single track.
That's awesome.
Or take the sidewalk with the rollerbladers, like, do your thing. But like, yeah, no, it's crazy. The Walton kids really, really like mountain biking, and they've thrown so much money into turning that little corner of Arkansas and southwestern Missouri into a pretty cool resort. We got to get you to come out to the Midwest, and we'll go thrash Bentonville, and it'll be fun.
I'd love to. Yeah, sounds fun.
There you go. I'll make you chase some trout while you're down there. Also, we'll get you another hobby. It'll be great. Okay, so we've done 3D carved kumiko.
Mm-hmm.
We've bent kumiko in a semi-unprecedented fashion, right? I mean, like, I'm sure that somebody may have before you, but you're the first person to put it on video. Done deal.
I did a lot of research to see if anyone has bent it before. Some people have made curved panels where basically like they just make it a little bit thicker and then like sand it round. And then like put those like kind of like how you would do like a segmented vase, where you're starting off with like squares or like blocks and then you just make it round. But I've never seen anyone actually bend the wood.
I think that's really cool. I mean, in this day and age, it's really hard to come up with something that you're not, taking inspiration from somebody else. But even if you do, it's okay as long as you give credit. I mean, say, hey, so and so did this and they inspired me to do this. But I mean, that was like seeing you do that just blew my mind. I was like, this is so cool. And then I'm like, can you come on the podcast?
And here we are.
Here we are.
What is the next unlikely place that you're going to try and put kumiko?
I don't know. And I think that's the exciting thing. Because at one point I didn't have an idea. I didn't have the idea to bend kumiko. I didn't have the idea to 3D carve it. And then, so the idea to 3D carve it, I kind of like, I was talking with Onefinity and they were just like, yeah, we'll send you a CNC. And I'm like, cool, I need a project for it so I can shout you guys out. And then that's just like, let me try 3D carving kumiko. That just came from that relationship and just the ability of having that CNC to do it. So I have no idea where it's going to go next.
Okay, so you continue as a woodworker, and nobody would ever connect the dots to this podcast, but you next, much like the street artists and the graffiti artists that will knit their way around a tree, you start cramming kumiko into various cracks throughout the city in upstate New York.
So like fill a pothole with kumiko.
Yes. Yes. Or, large crack in a wall. Or,
Please do.
Yeah. You start doing kumiko installations in unlikely places. Oh, I'd want to see it.
Like there's a missing brick in a building.
Yeah. No, you get yourself a 3D scanner, you find your location where you're going to go, run it off a battery, scan it, go home, take the scan and make a frame, do a kumiko, smush it in when no one's looking, snap a photo. You're the next Banksy.
Oh my gosh, TJ. I don't know if you're a genius or like just, stoking the fire, but either way I like it.
Brainstorms, man. Brainstorms. No, it
So
could
good.
totally be doable. It could be completely premeditated. And once you know the organic shape that you're trying to shoehorn geometry into, I think it would be cool, man. But again, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I definitely don't want you to do anything illegal.
See, but it's wood, so it'll just break down over time. So it's not like it's like paint that's like really there good. Forever, or I'm not like breaking anything.
Right? It's not permanent. You are 100% correct. Yeah. I wouldn't even be so sure as to whether it's vandalism or somebody might just think you're getting ready to put concrete on top of it and you've made a beautiful geometric scaffold.
That's true.
Yeah. Just wear a safety vest while you're installing it. Oh, nobody's going to ask questions. You're there for safety.
I would just love to have that be like a whole thing where people are like, where is all this art coming from? You'd be like a Netflix series of like, let's find this artist. Like who's putting all this beautiful artwork around the city? Yeah. I'd be like, I know who it is.
And then I have to do interviews like in the shadows and like
like a Dateline special.
Yeah. Black face, but the backlight behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the more they weren't going to use my real voice. So dope.
We know each other too well. So we are coming up on about an hour. We want to respect your time, and I know you're on the East Coast, so we don't want to keep you up too late. TJ, do you want to run through a quick lap through sponsors, and then
can do. Absolutely. Okay, so Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep, in addition to making wonderful tools that can manipulate an abrasive and get your wood buttery smooth, they also make the abrasives, and they are a mighty fine abrasive company as well. If you are looking for the finest finish, the smoothest wood, the best hand feel, reach out to Surf Prep. Go check them out. Save some money with coupon code Sawdust Talk. If you want to cuddle up in your nice warm bed, especially if you're on the East Coast and you're poking at it being, 11 o'clock at night, get you a Sawdust Talk t-shirt from Casey Bombshell Designs. Thank you to Layla for hosting us there. If you are making cool stuff and you're thinking, maybe I have a little bit extra of my cool stuff and I'd like to donate some of it, and you think that childhood cancer sucks, because it does, You need to get a hold of Mike at Makers for St. Jude. Get involved with the spring challenge, maybe even win a prize, but also do something great for people who need your help. St. Jude is the most BA charity that there is out there. We love having our wagons hitched to those guys. And then finally, hey, we do Sawdust Talk for a very, very tight budget. And if you want to help us expand that budget incrementally by as little as $5 a month, go check out Patreon Sawdust Talk.
Awesome. I think, Johnny, we have one more question for you.
That's right. You get the last question, Johnny. Every week that we run the show, we ask our guests to come up with like a motivational thought or a quote or an idea or some reason to kick open the door to your workshop and maybe knock some dust off of places where it hasn't been. Or maybe if you're nervous about starting something new, like what would you like to impart upon our viewers and listeners to help them get awesome?
Yeah, there's so I think it's easy to get motivated and like go into the shop sometimes, and like you have maybe you have like the day off of work, like great, spend some time in the shop. So but there's other times where you just like you have to finish something. Or maybe like you're dreading the next step in a project. Maybe you're bending a 7-foot long kumiko panel. I feel like for situations like that, it's always good to keep in mind that like small little bits of progress will get you closer to the final result. Even if it is like sneak away into the shop for like 5 minutes. You can get a lot done in 5 minutes, even if it's just sweeping the shop, right? Just the little things that like get you in there, and like sweeping can lead to like 2 hours later you're still you're starting a new project, or you're finishing that project that you were dreading. I think just like keeping in mind those like little pockets of time that you have can add up to a lot.
Heck yeah.
I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
Nobody wants to go out into the shop to a dirty shop. So you go out and sweep it one day, the next day you might be building something all new. And
It's such a good feeling when I go into the shop in the morning and I'm like, oh yeah, I swept yesterday. This is nice.
Clean slate. You're starting with the clean, and then the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Yep. If you're a wood turner, shovel your shop.
Or even just put things away.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure that everything has a home. I think that's a really big thing too.
I want to know the percentage of woodworkers that actually put things back in their home. I know a few that are very anal, and I know that they put stuff back. Are you one of those?
Yeah.
I know a few that are like that also. I think Peter Kapar is one of those people. He keeps a very clean shop. But yeah, I think there's plenty of people who don't do that, and you walk out into a messy shop and you don't want to do anything. So
yeah, there's times where I'm working on a project and the bench is just like filled with like offcuts and like 5 different types of squares that I was using, and just like a bunch of different tools, and I'm just like, I need to just put everything away. I know I'm going to pull back like 3 of these tools at least, but I just have to put everything away so that I have like just clarity.
Totally makes sense.
All right. Well, Johnny, thank you so much for joining us tonight. For everyone listening, this has been episode 152 with Johnny of JTWoodworks, and we appreciate your time tonight, and thank you for coming on the show. TJ, you want to take us out?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to see all of you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.